Most people believe respect is lost in obvious moments. An argument, a failure, a public mistake. But that's rarely how it actually happens. In real life, respect doesn't disappear loudly. It fades quietly. People don't confront you. They don't explain what changed. They don't even seem upset. They just adjust. They interrupt you a little more. They stop waiting for your response. They decide without checking in. And by the time you notice, the shift is already complete. What makes this unsettling is that nothing dramatic caused it. No argument, no conflict, no clear turning point. Just small behaviors, repeated often enough to send a message you never intended to send. In this video, we're not talking about obvious social mistakes. We're talking about 7 quiet behaviors that slowly lower how people treat you without you saying a single word. Not because people are cruel, but because human perception is highly sensitive to patterns. Once those patterns settle, respect doesn't vanish. It simply relocates elsewhere. Behavior 1. You over-explain what doesn't need explaining. Over-explaining rarely feels like a mistake while you're doing it. In the moment, it feels responsible, thoughtful, even intelligent. You want to be clear. You want to avoid misunderstandings. You want to show that your decisions are reasonable. But socially, repeated explanation carries a quiet signal. When you explain things that don't require explanation, you imply that your position needs support, that it isn't self-standing. People don't consciously judge you for this. Instead, their perception shifts slightly. They begin to expect justification. They become more comfortable questioning small choices. They wait less for your conclusion because it feels negotiable. Over time, explanation stops sounding like clarity and starts sounding like defense. High respected positions are rarely defended verbally. They're assumed. This doesn't mean respected people never explain. It means they explain selectively. They don't walk others through every internal step. They don't soften decisions with excessive reasoning. And because of that restraint, their words carry more weight. Over-explaining doesn't lose respect immediately. It lowers it gradually by teaching others that your stance can be adjusted with enough pressure. Behavior 2. You react too quickly. Quick reactions are often praised. They look engaged. They look responsive. They look present. But socially, speed has meaning. When you react instantly to every comment, every shift, every stimulus, you communicate urgency. And urgency suggests that the environment controls you more than you control yourself. People instinctively associate fast reactions with instability. Not emotional instability, but positional instability. It feels as if your attention is always being pulled outward, as if you're slightly off balance. Some people don't do this. They pause, they absorb, they respond only after the moment has settled. This delay is not hesitation, it's regulation. A measured response signals that you're not pressured by the situation, that you don't need to immediately defend, correct, or perform. People trust those who don't seem rushed by interaction itself. When reactions slow down, others slow down too. And that shift, from urgency to steadiness, quietly changes how seriously you're taken. Behavior 3. You fill every silence. Silence makes many people uncomfortable. When conversation pauses, they feel responsible for fixing it. They talk to maintain momentum, warmth, or connection. But socially, silence is not empty. Silence creates space. Space creates tension, and tension gives words weight. When you remove every pause, you remove that weight. People stop leaning in. They stop anticipating what you'll say next. Your words arrive already diluted. Those who are respected tend to leave silence intact. They don't rush to fill gaps. They don't smooth every transition. They allow others to sit with the moment. This forces adjustment. Listeners become more attentive. They choose words more carefully. They unconsciously assign more importance to what hasn't been said yet. Filling silence feels polite, but it also communicates discomfort with stillness, and discomfort subtly lowers perceived position. Silence, when unforced, signals containment, and containment reshapes respect without a single word. Behavior 4. You adjust too easily. Adaptability is often framed as a strength, being flexible, being agreeable, being easy to work with. And to a point, it is. But when adjustment becomes automatic, something changes. If you consistently bend your position, people stop orienting around it. They stop checking it. Your stance becomes optional. Respect grows around structure, not rigidity, but clarity. People who are respected don't resist every change, but they don't collapse immediately either. They hold their position long enough for others to feel it. When you adjust too easily, you remove friction, and friction is often what makes presence noticeable. Without resistance, there is nothing to lean against. Over time, people stop treating your preferences as anchors and start treating them as suggestions, and respect quietly follows the anchors. Behavior 5. Your emotional tone mirrors the room. Mirroring feels socially intelligent, matching energy, matching mood, matching intensity. It helps you blend in. But blending in is not the same as being respected. When your emotional tone constantly mirrors the environment, you lose distinction. You become responsive rather than referential. People don't look to you for grounding, they look past you. Those who are respected often maintain a consistent emotional tempo. They don't spike when others spike. They don't collapse when tension rises. Their reactions remain proportional. The steadiness creates contrast, and contrast creates orientation. People instinctively gravitate toward whoever feels most regulated when things fluctuate. Not because that person is louder or more confident, but because they reduce uncertainty. Mirroring removes that advantage. Consistency preserves it. Behavior 6. You make yourself always available. Availability is often confused with generosity, answering immediately, always being reachable, never being too busy. It feels helpful, but socially, constant availability signals that your time has no boundary, and what has no boundary rarely carries weight. People respect what is contained. Those who are respected are not unreachable, but they're not instantly accessible either. They respond on their own timeline. They don't apologize for pacing. This creates a subtle hierarchy of attention. When you are always available, people subconsciously assume you are waiting. When you are selectively available, people adjust. Respect follows adjustment.
Behavior 7. You correct yourself too often. Self-correction can signal intelligence. Pausing to refine a thought, clarifying a statement, improving accuracy. Once or twice, this builds credibility. But when it becomes frequent, it changes perception. Repeated self-correction suggests internal uncertainty, as if your ideas are still forming publicly. People begin to wait less for your conclusion. They interrupt more, they assume your position is flexible. Respected individuals don't present finished thoughts as tentative. They allow ideas to land before revising them. Correction is not removed, it's delayed. That delay preserves authority, because certainty, even temporary certainty, anchors attention, and attention is where respect begins. Respect rarely disappears all at once. It doesn't collapse after a single mistake or a dramatic moment. More often, it shifts quietly, through repetition, through patterns, through signals no one announces out loud. What makes this uncomfortable is that most of these behaviors don't feel wrong while you're doing them. They feel normal, responsible, even considerate, and that's why they're so easy to overlook. People don't consciously decide to respect you less. Their behavior simply adjusts. They interrupt a little sooner, they wait a little less. They stop checking in. not out of hostility, but because something in the pattern changed. This is why respect is rarely something you can demand back once it fades. By the time you notice it, others have already adapted. The real shift happens earlier, in silence, in pacing, in how much space you allow things to take. Understanding this isn't about becoming guarded or withdrawn. It's about becoming aware of how small, repeated signals teach others how to respond to you. Once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them, not in yourself, not in others. And that awareness changes how you move through social space, quietly, without effort, without explanation. If this perspective helped you notice something you'd never questioned before, stay here. This channel isn't about fixing yourself or copying behaviors. It's about understanding the subtle mechanics beneath everyday interactions. Subscribe if you're interested in how respect, perception, and social position actually form, not in theory, but in real life. And if one of these behaviors felt familiar, or if you've noticed the shift in your own experience, share it in the comments. Sometimes the most important changes happen long before anyone says a word.